We talked about the 5Ds and the true need to do planning. But again, a lot of people haven't given thought. And what you don't want to have, and I hear this a lot, it's actually kind of funny, when I ask some of the business owner clients, because it's on our reviews, when we meet with a business owner and they don't have an articulated plan, we ask them, okay, any thoughts about when we can talk about putting a plan in place? I'm just going to die with my boots on. Okay, well, that is a plan, and we have no problem having you pass away with your boots on. But at some point, if you die with your boots on, there still needs to be steps in place. Okay, who's going to take over the business? Who's going to sell the business? Does your spouse want to take over the business? Highly unlikely, right? So these are things that even if you plan on dying with your boots on, you need to think about, what are my options out there and which option best fits my business. And what I mean by that is, over time you develop vendor relationships, you develop friendships with your team, you develop friendships with your management group. Your business becomes part of your alter ego, because the view, and when people see you, they also look at your business. Oh, that's Steve. He owns Ajax Company, right? So it's really important. There's a psychology that's tied into not only the value of the business, but the psychology of the fact that the business is important to you as something that's woven into your personality and who you are. But one of the things we really need to think about is, what is the right transition path for you? Are your kids working in the business? Are we planning on eventually transitioning the business to the kids? Well, maybe you have kids, and that's great. What happens if the kids don't want the business? Or you don't have any kids in the business? Is the management team, or they call an MBO, management buyout, something that you're wanting to consider? Are you big enough that you will attract private equity? And is private equity a way to do that? They can come in and buy out part of the business, so you take some of the winnings off the table. There's a number of methods that we can use, but waiting too late could really hurt you financially. A lot of business owners wait till the peak value of the business because they wait too long to sell the business. And what I mean by that is, they wait till they get tired. When you're operating at full go and you're putting everything into the business and you're growing the business, you'll reach a peak value. But if you start to wait until you're slowing down, well, if you're slowing down and you're a key component to the business, is the business going to slow down? And if the business slows down, you're eventually going to hurt the value. So looking at timing is going to be very important. So a couple things. I think probably one of the trickier parts, it's always easy to sell to an external buyer because you're looking at trying to maximize your value. I do think it gets challenging when you have employees that you want to reward, and they're going to feel that they have what I call sweat equity in the business, even though you probably paid them a very fair value to their work. But it gets trickier when you have children in the business, because you want to maximize value. The value is important to your financial success, but you're also stating, how am I going to take care of my kids? So that gets about trickier, and we're not going to be able to have time today to dive that deep, but it's something that we work with our closely held business owners, to really figure out how to transition the business to family if it makes sense. Because just because they're family doesn't mean they're entitled to the business, doesn't mean they have the skill sets and capability to run the business. Maybe at some point, and then you build an infrastructure to groom them, whether you have a mentorship or a board that you utilize to help groom them into roles. We often advise our clients, never hire your kids right out of college into your business. Have them go work some other places, learn what other companies are doing, because then they're going to have appreciation to what you built. It's really hard, especially for the first gen, to understand, the owners, the founders of the firm, to try to take that institutional knowledge and to take all the things that they've gone through, the pains and the gains to get the business to where it's at, to now it's a going concern. It's like a rocket ship. You ever wonder why the space shuttle's pretty small compared to these big booster rockets? Because to get out of the Earth's gravity, you need all this force to generate this rocket into space, then to propel it into space. Well, it's like a business. It's all that inertia to get that business off the ground. It's very difficult. And that the first gen that founded the firm knows what it was like to go without paychecks, to be underpaid, to deal with all the stresses, to figure out how to carve a niche in a competitive market space. I mean, you have to keep in mind, it's a closed system. There's only so many potential customers out there. And when you come in and try to compete with someone else, you're a threat. You're taking business away from them, right? It's not like, maybe if you're in a city that's just growing like crazy, you got new people coming in, there's abundance of wealth to share clients. But if you're in a city that has pretty stagnant growth, it's kind of keeping the head count about the same, you're taking clients from other people. So these are things that I think the second gen and the third gen have challenges with. And one of the things we want to work with when you're thinking about doing an internal family transition is to make sure, one, they are truly prepared to take on the business, and two, that financially you're going to receive what you feel you need to receive to live the life that you use that business to help create, that you can sustain it in a manner that you want.